The
illustrious Jabba bids you welcome. I'm going to regret this.
I'm Pete Mitchell. He's Peyton Jones. And this is the Church Planter Podcast, brought to you by Church Planter Magazine.
Oh, that woman with her, this meeting's being recorded.
That's new.
It is. It's so annoying.
That happened to me on a podcast this morning. I was like, what's up with that?
Yeah. Hey, Church Planter, this is Pete.
This is Peyton Jones.
There you go. Look at that.
I missed my cue.
It's almost as if we've done this 434 times.
Is that how many times it's been?
This is the 434.
Gosh, it feels like 435. It feels so long.
It does. What are you doing nowadays? What's up?
Well, I'm kind of going nuts, fighting burnout in a big way. Oh, by the way, for all of you that listened last week and noticed I was off, I did get a message from Steve Erickson who said, dude, you don't have to keep doing the podcast if your heart's not in it anymore. Like, you guys have no idea how close to freaking burnout I was last week. I actually Wednesday night, almost in tears, called up a friend and said, "Hey, I need you to pray for me, dude. I'm kind of hitting a wall here, and I'm getting a little nervous."
And I noticed I wasn't that friend.
You know, it was hard to know who to call, and the person I called has suffered with depression, and I was seriously worried I was heading into the second depression of my life. Because this project, man, it's like having another full-time job.
Which project?
At my house. Just building this house. Because I'm the contractor. Like, if like this morning, I'm on this daily prayer call, and I told the guys, hey, I've got to switch because I got to drive to the DMV. And I said, so I'll call in. As I leave my office and go down to head downstairs, I'm mobbed by like two tradesmen. Hey, Peyton, we need. So these guys are waiting on the other line, and I'm like, this is just my life right now. I get stopped, and I'll have 3 tradesmen working in here, possibly by the afternoon of 4. So it's just busy, man. When you're contracting your own house. So just to let you guys know, we have been rediscovering all of our plumbing problems. And last week was my low point, where I was up till 11:30 at night with the plumber, who's a good friend of the new plumber, who's telling me this is all the things your old plumber did. He's not charging me any money. He's just fixing it. And he's like, look, I got bad news for you. You know, we had to tear into some drywall. And this is the plumber I fired because I just was not happy with his quality of work. As a layman, as a non-plumber, I kept getting mad at him and saying, dude, what are you doing? And I eventually had to fire him. But last week, there was just something psychologically dismantling about working this hard. I've been displaced for 4 years, and working this hard on a house, and then having to tear into the drywall that I just paid money to tape and mud, that I just spent nights painting. To then, I hit a wall, man. I was done. And, I don't know how to put it, but I asked for prayer. But anyways, going back to, well done, Steve Erickson. Well spotted. And, he was like, if your heart's not in it, you don't got to keep it. And
he's just waiting in the wings going, I'm going to pick up that podcast. I'm going to pick up that podcast.
Listen, trust me. You do not want to do a podcast with me. Ask Pete about that.
You don't want to do a podcast with me. Ask Pete about that.
That's what I was going to say. You think you can keep up with Pete Mitchell? You go ahead. You be my guest.
Let's just say there's a reason Peyton didn't ask me to be anywhere near Ministry Ninja.
That's not true. But I did need to grow up. I did need to learn how to run my own stuff.
You're not the one who runs it, are you?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, okay,
you do all that.
And I did for the first year and something. I just had to learn it. Then of course, I delegated it because that's what I do. So
you
now
probably don't even use Alphonic, do you?
I don't know what that is.
What?
What's Alphonic?
Well, I don't even know.
Get Alphonic about it on me.
I think it's some Dutch company, but it's who we use for all of our podcasts. They put the intro, the outro, they clean it all up, they stick it on Libsyn, they stick it over on YouTube, they stick it everywhere for us. All I got to do is hit the button.
But Barry does it for free. Oh, if you listen to Ministry Ninja, there's this little side conversation that did not get edited out at the beginning. Me and Andrew are like, yeah, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. We're just totally talking before the podcast. So I had to reach out to Barry. There might be a lot of episodes like this. Maybe it is time I call Alphonic.
Well, but see, you're not supposed to they don't edit anything out.
Oh, you got to hand them the
well, it's an automated service.
Oh.
So I just give them that's why we don't edit anything on our podcast.
That's so rad, though. That's actually really cool. Dude, you know what? Editing podcasts are stupid. It is so much better when you just roll with the...
It's like a radio show. That's what podcasts are supposed to be. It's supposed to be the morning show that you used to listen to on the radio.
That's it. You roll with those little interruptions and you just basically point out, hey, this is life and this is ministry. You're going to have this.
There you go.
So, dude, what's up? For me,
so are you better?
This is the way depression works, right? There's like a curve of anxiety. And, I kind of hit. I think I've come back over that line, but it wouldn't take much to get me down below it again. That's how the stress that causes that triggers. That's how it works.
There's a reason, everybody, that Peyton doesn't call me because he knows I would just say, suck it up, Buttercup.
That's right. That was the original thing of our friendship. Suck it up, Buttercup. And what's funny is Pete would always say this. He wouldn't be serious about it, but he'd say, I would be pouring my heart out, and he'd say, all I can think when you're saying this is, suck it up, Buttercup. And it would make me laugh. And that was actually what I needed. But I'll be honest, when stuff hits a fan, brother, you are an awesome friend and you listen to me. So
I'm still waiting for a Fortnite game. I'm still waiting.
I know we need to do that, but I
got a Vic last night.
Time.
I got the Vic last night. It's my second solo Vic.
What?
I know.
Come on, brother. Come on. Yeah, I do want to do that, but I have no life. It's like the textbook again. I have no life right now. Until this house is done, I have no life. And dude, I remember when I was writing the textbook, I was managing framers and plumbers, not very well, that electricians, like it, a good tradesman kind of manages themselves. And my electricians were awesome. My framers were pretty awesome. The plumber sucked. So, but there was just so much to do, man.
How much longer, how many more months does your home have?
We're on Finish Carpentry. Finish Electric started yesterday. And then Finish Plumbing will probably take place the weekend after next because my buddy, he comes after work or on his weekends. So weekend after next, we'll probably finish out all the plumbing.
But when will the whole job be done?
I think safely with all of the finished carpentry. I believe that the finished carpentry will be the final thing to do. And I think that'll be 5 to 6 weeks because we've got like a stairway to put in. We've got,
so right now you guys just have like a rope. You got to climb up the rope.
No, we have like the framed structure of a stairway. So it's there, but no finish, no railings, no woodwork, no stringers or risers, no treads on it. So all that's got to be popped in. And that takes a while. Last week we I had to drive to Santa Ana and back and pick up cabinets because I buy them cheap. I get them where the builders get them from. I won't go into like some showroom and pay like 3-4 times what they cost to make. So I drive to Santa Ana, load up my car and drive back with what I need. And, so I got to do that again. There's just, when you're doing it yourself and you're saving a buck, there's a lot more work. Unless you're Steve Erickson, that dude does it all, man. That dude, you watch him do his, but can you do this, Steve Erickson? That's what I'm asking right here. This is John Allwood. For those of you on Facebook, you can see these kind of Hobbit looking bookcases behind me. That's the mastery of John Allwood, who is.
I thought those were gun cases.
Yeah, when I was talking to, hey, check out my bookcases, you were not interested. Then said, check out my gun cabinets. Oh yeah, all my windows are open and behind me. These are my windows.
It's been hot. What can you say?
Yeah. So the new the secret door's in. Did I tell you about that?
You told me about it. Don't show anybody. Don't show anybody.
It's not secret anymore.
Well, they don't know anything better.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the secret door could be anywhere. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it is on my right.
I haven't had anything special happen in the last week.
Other than your Vic?
Well, come on. Of course I got the Vic. Dude, Luke is like at level 140 and his friend's almost at 200. I'm like struggling to get past 84. I'm like, what the heck? These stupid kids, man. They can just level up. They're good. Don't worry. No one will know that you're talking to someone else and not.
I know. Speaking of which, I have a tradesman. Talk about Luke. Give me a second.
See? I have nothing to say, guys. I'm just, I'm a regular dude. Been married for 21 years. Come on, Peyton. Come on. He's like looking back. I wonder if there's anybody even watching this on Facebook today. Let me see if we got any comments. I don't know. Ooh, I know what that is. That is something I cannot discuss on the podcast. Oh yeah, we do. Check that out. We got some people listening in. Okay, now I got to just pause because are you coming back? And now we're back.
There you are, Peter. So when you have this all phonics, I think I said it right.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
When you have them do that service, how do they know? Like because we've now had to interrupt our recording, which we never do. But my laborer is like, hey, what do you want me to do next? So he ran out of jobs. So I had to tell him because I pay him by the hour. So but anyways, you're will Alphonics know, or will this now be the front part of the podcast?
Because I don't do it. It doesn't do any editing, so I'm not going to do any editing. So there's going to be.
You paused it. You didn't.
I paused it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Except I was trying to go on for like a few minutes, thinking you would just be like 10 seconds.
You need the gift of gab that God gave me, because I would have had.
You're an extrovert. I'm an introvert. I don't talk to people.
I'm not an extrovert,
dude. You are such an extrovert.
Hey, you mistake temperament with gifting. My gifting apostolically is extroverted, but my
I remember
is introvert.
When we went to the Calvary Chapel Senior Pastors Conference, and you were having me video you and Brian Borderson for some video for probably the magazine, who knows? And you get into this great conversation with them while I'm standing out under the sun. You're under a nice little umbrella. And finally, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I get up and leave. And then you like call me, hey, where are you? I'm like, I'm not coming back.
It almost ended our friendship. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. You're like, you can't leave me in the sun.
I'm melting.
You guys should see what happened when I threw water on Pete once.
When'd you throw water on me?
I never did, but that was a reference to the gremlins with the Mogwai, that a bunch of red little fur balls came out of you. Or, well, the Wicked Witch did melt when you threw water on her. So.
That's true. We should probably get into the topic because I still got to leave early today.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Well,
all right.
The usual.
You know, Pete, when you have people, I'm going to make it up. You ready? This is our ad because I don't want to pull it up. But when you, okay, you know, Pete, let me start over. Set scene. Me. Imagery. Pete, when you send people to your website, do you normally just send them there only to have them go away to watch whatever video you've posted on YouTube or to listen to your podcast on iTunes? Well, I bet you do, Pete. And you just need to stop it Stop it right now. Get a hold of yourself, man. Get Sermon Boss. SermonBoss.com. It keeps everybody on your page, which is where you want them anyways, because you want to be able to keep them there and redirect them so you can brag about big stats to all your pastor friends at the next pastor conference. Ha ha ha. All right. Well, go to sermonboss.com and for the better reasons, actually just keep them on your page and they will collate your sermons. They will keep everything, your YouTubes, your audio, all in one place. And that's on your homepage, homie, sermonboss.com.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
I thought I'd do that for them.
All right. Well, hey, now we can pay the bills this month.
Great Scott. It's time for this week's topic.
Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
Oh, by the way, I know this is back to Smack Talk. Did I tell you have to see the movie Nobody?
Yes.
Did I tell you about it last week? Tell you Christopher Walken's in it?
Yes.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's a great movie. You got to
can't wait to watch that one. It looks really good.
It could just be because we haven't seen a movie in a year, but it's good.
Okay, so I got a question for you. I'm getting ready to write a blog. And you're going to shoot it down here, but I'm getting ready to write a blog about how the church is in danger of becoming like the movie theater, because I got this theory that now that you can watch, because you're saying you got to go watch Nobody. I'm like, oh, I'm totally checking if that's one of those digital things I can like pay the price of a ticket.
I got to rent it for $20 on Amazon.
Oh, see, I'm totally doing that. Screw the movie theater.
Wait a few more weeks and it'll be $5.
Man, I'm telling you, I don't care about going to the movie theater anymore. Like, my home is rad. It's got all the conveniences. I don't need a big giant screen unless I'm doing something important, right? Like I'm going to watch the next Star Wars. I got to be in a theater. I'm going to watch E.T. Part 2. E.T. loses it and, goes biker or whatever.
E.T.'s finger gets cut off. I remember that.
Yeah. Isn't that like Escape from New York? But it's like with E.T. and they gives that.
They should have E.T. Escape from New York.
All right. Because remember that when he gives it the guy the finger and the mayor's finger in a box? Remember that? It's proof of life. Yeah.
I watched Escape from LA more than Escape from New York.
Yeah. So E.T. escapes New York. So I'm going to go watch that in the theater, right? Any major franchise. But by and large, Pete, I see the church just basically did a number on itself by basically saying, hey, you could just rent us digitally from the comfort of your own home. I don't think a lot of people are coming back. I said that in the beginning. Statistics are showing that. Influencers are speaking of what to do when they don't come back. Well, they're not coming back. You basically made yourself obsolete. You have become like the movie theaters. You're needed for big events. You're
but
needed
the government
for
told
baptisms.
us we had to close down.
You're needed for baptisms. You're needed for weddings and funerals. You're needed for the big franchise events. But other than that, people can just rent it at home for $20 or free.
I wonder how many people even understand what baptism is.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand pastors get it. But I mean, I don't even know that people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I got to go get baptized.
Well, you would kind of have to preach the gospel to get people to know what baptism is.
I'm just saying, though.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you got people who are like not even coming back. I don't think they're coming back for baptism.
No, they're not. But that's what I'm saying is that the church gathering, I believe that people are going to use the church like as a service that they need for weddings, funerals, even supposed evangelical Christians. Now, that said, I don't have a major problem with that. Like, I would have no issue with people doing home churches, house churches, smaller localized gatherings, micro churches. I don't mind that. Where I think that gets dangerous is without any kind of greater governing network body. This is not our topic, by the way. Without any greater network, maybe it should be our topic, but without any governing body, you run the risk of aberrant theology, heresy, all those kinds of things. So I'm not advocating for like this no structure. It's simply because when you read Acts, you had the Jerusalem Council. You had a group that got together and said, okay, let's hash things out. Let's make sure we don't go off the rails here. I do have a problem with Bubba off on his own, leading his house church, reinventing all of the same wheels, that, the megachurch movement did, personality driven, authoritarian power. I mean, the human heart sucks. And these greater forms of accountability are always fraught with danger. Like people might say, oh, I don't believe in denominations. That's cool. I don't believe in you. I don't believe in you as your own denomination. I think you need accountability. I think you need something more than just yourself. That's great that it's you and the Holy Spirit, but it's me and the Holy Spirit. And I don't agree with you and the Holy Spirit. Me and the Holy Spirit say this. So, I think there is a great sense of joining bigger networks. And I don't just mean church planting networks, or I just mean networks of other churches that travel together in the same direction.
End statement.
That was not a mic drop either. It was just,
I couldn't give it that.
That's the end of my thought. Yeah. But I do think that we have made ourselves a bit like the movie theater. We have become obsolete in the COVID. Our response to it was not, hey, like for example, you and I talked years ago and you were like, man, this new luxury movie theater, this is the future of movie theaters. And I agree. Premium movie theaters are the future, where I can go in and I can get a beer, I can get a meal served to my seat. Now, if you're going to couple that with the movie, that's something I can't get at home.
Because that's an experience.
Right. And now Uber Eats can kind of come near to that, but I can't have a, freshly poured draft beer. I can't have someone bringing me whatever I need off a menu with this like luxury, comfortable, like there are things that it's an experience, like you said, and it is luxury. You feel like you're being pampered. So picture this now with the church. Is there a degree to which we could have, and this is what I argued for in the beginning, is post-COVID, we should, or actually mid-COVID, we should have been saying, this is great, this is fine and all, but it ain't it, right? Like instead, people are like, this is wonderful. We suddenly learned how to go digital. That's great. That's fine. It was necessary, but it wasn't it.
And they were also saying, oh, look, everyone's showing up.
Right.
Our attendance hasn't dropped.
Right. Which means that someone else was curious and tuned into your thing because they saw you on social media because you suddenly went digital. And that's great and good and all. But those are just looky-loos coming in to check you out. They're gone now because the novelty wore off, right? Like it always does. So my point is, why not have a series of things that you tell people, hey, this is great, but it ain't what you need. What you need is, and we talk, like I just got off a podcast with, talking about healing and spiritual gifts on the Ministry Ninja podcast. Cha-ching! Do I have to cha-ching another podcast?
Why not?
Do I have to smooch you? Like, do I have to reaffirm my love to you when I mention another podcast?
Look, I understand that you two-time me. And I've just come to accept that we have an open podcast relationship.
That is true. I do get a little jealous of Dan Sams, but then I don't say anything because he has a lot of guns. But going to this whole idea of what are the things that the church should be offering as like premium, saying this is why you would come back, right? The use of the spiritual gifts. And, again, we talked digital pros and cons last week. Hold on. Do you hear that? You can hear the chugga chugga.
Yeah.
You can hear it? I love that noise. We got a slow rumbler. So there's different trains. I got the bullet train. I got the high speed. I've got the normal. I've got the coaster. I've got the Amtrak, and then I've got freight trains. I get occasionally this. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a freight train. That's why it's making that noise. That's my freight train. But it's going the wrong way, and it's at a weird time. Normally, we get the big, slow rumbler at night, but he has the loudest horn. And I may have committed a couple felonies in the past out of annoyance.
Felonies?
Yeah, I can't talk about it. So, there was a season of irritation with the freight train, but I really like it. But he has the loudest horn. So, yesterday, the first time ever, a train went by and someone was playing with the horn on the train. They did the dun 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 dun, which was great.
Really?
I've absolutely never heard that before in 10 years. Dun 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 dun.
Wow.
And they must have had like a kid or something up front, because as he was going down the tracks, it kept going doot doot. Like little things, like someone was playing around. It was pretty funny. But 10 years, never heard that. You would think that would just be something train conductors would do occasionally to kick out the jams.
I've always wanted to put like a train horn on my car. That way I could just when I honk, it just shakes everyone in front.
That would be so great. We should have an aggressive horn.
Either that, or I always wanted the Dukes of Hazzard, La Cucaracha,
Ooh.
That horn. That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Right? And that how that one?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what it wasn't La Cucaracha, but yeah.
But well, you know what you're thinking is some food trucks play that when they pull up.
I think so.
Yeah. In Southern California, some will play it. And some play the so I see how that.
This is what our podcast has become. We're talking about horn.
No, it hasn't, Pete. It hasn't become that at all. It's always been this.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, the Church Planter Podcast is brought to you by two guys who don't really care.
Two guys who aren't getting paid to give it to you anyway.
That's right. It's funny. We do the Sermon Boss that trade, but I still haven't. He keeps. Well, I think he gave up on me. He's like, Peyton, you haven't that stuff yet. And I'm just not ready. I'm not ready to give it to him. I'm spinning too many plates, man. And I told him I won't be ready for you until May, and it's not. It's still May, right?
You got 5 days.
I got 5 days, man. I'm going to use them.
There you go.
So anyways, going back to movie theater, what do you think are some of the premium things? Because I just got off that call, like I said, with healing, I think that there are certain things that are done most effectively face to face. And so we talked the pros and cons of digital, and I'm really beginning to see digital as a huge opportunity that we are not. And I don't mean the church service. I just mean digital for so many things. I'm actually kind of blown away right now with what an aggregator, what all these other things that we do, how big digital could be for the church. And hear me out on this. In the post-war Britain, C.S. Lewis was approached by the BBC. He was a famous author. He had done Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, and they knew him as a theologian, even though he was not seminary trained. He didn't have any theology degrees, but this Oxford Don, this very highbrowed, critical thinker, who is known to be religious, takes to the British airwaves on the BBC and delivers a series of lectures called Mere Christianity, still the highest best-selling apologetic work of all time. So you got to think about that. He harnessed radio in a way that very few Christians had, and really gave theology for every man, or the gospel, or a rational biblical approach to Christianity.
Well, and also think about J. Vernon McGee. I mean, yeah. I don't think anyone's ever been hurt as much as him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I remember growing up, and we would listen to his sermons on the way to school every day.
Right.
And he was like the first guy on radio doing that.
Dear Dr. McGee, I have now been on the Bible bus for 7 years.
David would not like the guitar. He didn't say 5 strings.
Now, I've always believed that if Jesus was in business today, he'd put Weber's out of business. Yeah, man. J. Vernon McGee. Remember, and they'd write in, Dear Dr. McGee, I have now been on the Bible bus for, they called it the Bible bus.
Did they? I don't remember.
So would this be the church planner bus?
Ooh.
Dear Peyton and Pete, I have now been on the
even
church.
Biola got its fame because of the Biola Hour.
Yeah.
You know, where they had a radio show for an hour, and that's when
they sure
everyone
did.
got to know it.
They sure did. Yeah.
My buddy's dad was like, well, who's this Pete guy you're going to be working with? Oh, you know, he's a good guy, Dad. And he went to Biola. Oh, he went to Biola? He goes, I didn't even know my dad knew what Biola was because he lives in Northern California. And I'm like, Biola Hour, man. He grew up in a time when people heard the Biola Hour.
You know, it started with me. This is why I talked to Sermon Boss. It started with me thinking I've withheld my sermons because I just think it's so creepy to like showcase my own preaching. To me, preaching has always been in the moment, and yet how hypocritical that is for me, because I read the sermons of Spurgeon and Lloyd Jones like they're going out of business. I read other people's sermons. I have books of sermons. I have a book called Great Preachers I Have Heard, where a guy just took notes on all these sermons. I geek out on that crap. But for me, there was just like this weird ego thing where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to put it on there. I'm going to, and recently I was like, no, I'm going to put them out there for people. You know, we talk about how I preached in church planning, you know, to reach people, how my preaching changed over the years from being in Lloyd Jones's church, preaching very theological sermons, very, to then going very much more evangelistic, to more missional, to more, to not very cultured and polished at all, with biblically illiterate people like my preaching, or to Refuge Long Beach, whatever that was. But I thought to myself, maybe I do need to put them out there so people can learn, not model them, that'd be weird to think this is how I preach. You should preach like me. But that kind of led to this thing where I'm like, okay, I think I'm freed up. I think I'm going to start doing this. It doesn't hang me up anymore to think I could put them on there. But now I'm actually getting, rather than retroactive, I'm getting proactive. Like I see the digital world right now opening up to me. Like I could start communicating with non-believers and kicking out some major apostolic jams, which is what I do on Through the Word. I mean, so many people coming onto that thing are what we call Bible curious. So they just come on there and they're like, I want to know about the end of the world. Like Revelation took off this year.
Who did Revelation
on our app?
Revelation. Did he?
Yeah, he did it. And it was like huge on YouVersion. Like it's one of their top ones. We got a flood of people from YouVersion. And, you know, but I'm just seeing like the digital world. We get these amazing comments from people who come to faith through the app. Like the Bible bus. But you know, to me, Pete, as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing like, why are we limiting the digital thing to church? Why do we see that as the bucket? Like so insular. Why not, if you're going to go digital, really make this thing about reaching lost people and engaging the culture?
So how would you do that?
I'm still working through that and thinking that, but you know, for the purpose of this podcast, really, it was how do we provide that premium thing to the church? How do we provide the premium service like what's the Sinopolis, the luxury movie theater in Southern California? Maybe it's nationwide, but how do we go from being an AMC?
I think they just went bankrupt.
Sinopolis. I could see every movie theater in America. Didn't AMC close as well?
They got money, so they are kind of surviving. Regal is kind of surviving, but they're all in danger of.
I don't think people go back the same way. I think
I've gone the last 2 weeks and there's hardly anyone in the theater.
Right.
And
I don't think they bounce back.
One, there's no movies. And two, I think people are still scared.
I think people are scared, but I also, this is probably a wrong prediction, but my prediction is Too many people are like me. If you keep offering for me to watch it at home, why bother?
Well,
yeah, I'll watch it
HBO Max, when they said they're going to release all the Warner Brothers movies for 2021 on HBO Max, I told Jamie, I go, well, we're not quitting HBO Max for the year because it's cheaper to watch it there.
Love this. Like, I am so all about it. I want to have a movie theater, like I said, for the big events. But for me, there's a couple things. Eating. Now, I sat through a panel for Exponential Ventures where people were like, oh, yeah, we totally take communion digital. Like, there were whole digital churches that were taking communion together. They would have the elements and they would have their avatars or whatever, or they would be on Zoom. Different people have different ways of doing this. But for me, I want face-to-face community. That's going to always be something for me that I'm going to always crave. And so I'm not, I would say eating is one. The supernatural, the use of the gifts is another, but this requires interaction. And this is kind of going back to Church Zero, cha-ching, where I have always, that book, more than even being an APEST manifesto, was more about interactivity in church and ministry in general. Interactivity is something, interaction, discussion, allowing people to share their own thoughts and feelings. It's what drives social media. How the church has not harnessed that, right? Which is very easily accomplished in digital church in one sense on a Zoom call. But everybody knows if you're in a meeting with your coworkers, versus on a Zoom call, that people are half switched off. They're tuned out in a way that they aren't in a face-to-face meeting. You can. That's why. Because you can switch out. You can tune out. You can turn off. You can switch out. It doesn't matter. I watched a video of a guy recently where he has this background. He has a green screen behind him while he's driving. While he's driving. So he can be driving around and be in his meeting and running errands. It was so funny. And, but people are, if you think of your own experience, if I'm on a Zoom call, I'm not paying attention. I'm just not, it's hard for me to sit in meetings like that. If I'm face to face.
I went to this, seminar last year, virtual seminar. This was the best virtual seminar I'd ever seen. And what happened was these guys, their whole business was they would do seminars, live seminars for, the big names in the coaching field, like the Tony Robbins and really, but more the internet marketer side, Russell Brunson, Frank Kern. Well, I don't think he does any events anymore. But anyway, stuff like that. And so their business obviously dried up because everybody closed. You couldn't do it. And so they were like, well, we gotta pivot here. We gotta pivot digital. So they made this studio and they call it Zoomzilla because they had 1,200 people on their Zoom. Man. And you were grouped up. And so the speaker could see all the people. And of course, everyone could see him. So he's like a live event, right? He's got his mic on. He's walking around. And they mailed to everyone beforehand this box of goodies. And in it, they had like a heart emoji on a stick, fire emoji on a stick, and something else on a stick. And you go, all right, everyone give me some hearts, and you'd see everybody like flashing up their hearts and stuff. It was actually the best virtual event I'd been to because he figured out a way to get people to interact with him. And that kept everyone tied in. And then he would, call on people. Hey, I want screen 5, third row, second person over. And then they'd bring that person in and, he could talk to that person. That's really pretty cool. Well done. That's actually really cool. I'd be interested in you kind of like, do you have a recording of that? I don't know if they put a recording up of it.
If you have one or find one, send it to me. If there's a way to, even for you to write an outline, like kind of highlighting what he did, that would make a great article for your newsletter, number one. Number two, I'd steal that for a blog and pop it in there and talk about that. Because I do think even if it's Zoom, like we may be forced back into Zoom again. I do think the interaction, I can see, like, I don't want to crap on this because I could see the potential of what going digital through COVID did for leaders. Like, for example, I could see that it opened the opportunity for pastors to be more interactive with the talking heads, like the Brady Bunch, for them to go exactly what you said. Hey, what do you guys think about this? So when people would come to me for like coaching or, whatever, I would say, well, make it interactive. And when you reopen, use that momentum to then say, hey, what you loved about us being on there, we're going to bring that in. This was the perfect excuse and opportunity to reset and go to more interactive. There's a reason why during the COVID pandemic, small groups exploded. They exploded. People were starved for community, and they went towards small groups. And the average church pastor started going, wow, our small groups are hot right now. Our small groups used to never be hot. Now they're hot. And now I will tell you this, once people get a taste of a good small group, you never, ever, the Sunday service is always going to be second best to them. That's not where they grow. And I've always argued that when I would say we're back to front church in any church I've planted, it's because what happened in those groups that's where the magic happened, right? That was the MTV Cribs bedroom scene right there. This is where the magic happens. Those small groups, COGs, micro churches, missional communities, whatever you want to call them, that's where the real church stuff happened. Sunday was great because it was still interactive, but everybody knew this is like a taster for what really happens.
Yeah. The other thing too that they did, with Zoom, you can do those meeting rooms and you can break everyone up into
breakout rooms. Yeah.
Breakout rooms, whatever they call them. They did that. So, you could still do that. Like in your case, you could do the question. All right, guys, here's the question. We're going to break you up in small groups. Go ahead and talk to everyone else in your group. And that way you have that communication.
It's funny you say that because I'm actually getting ready to launch Reaching the Unreached cha-ching, as a cohort, an online cohort.
Oh, nice.
And what I'll do literally is breakout groups because the way I train, I'm constantly breaking whoever's in the group. I'll take up to 12 people in this thing when I run it. But I think Reaching the Unreached just gives itself naturally to a digital cohort. Because what I'm asking them to do is come up with their plan. So like, for the whole point would be like mobilizing your congregation. But in order to do that, you have to be mobilized. So you're constantly looking at your own lifestyle, your own life as a leader. Like, what do I need to model? So that's the first part. Everybody thinks they're coming in there to mobilize their congregation. The first thing, like, can you imagine Refuge Long Beach if I weren't mobilized on mission there? Like, I had to, it's like Paul, where he goes, hey, I came into you, you knew my manner of life. You knew, like, I had to do the scary stuff. And people had to watch me doing the scary stuff. And then they're like, oh, I could do that. If this knucklehead can do it, I can for sure do that. So, and that's what, but anyways, going back to this, even corporate worship, like if you did corporate worship, there's just something about the presence of the Holy Spirit in the room. Not that you can't feel that on a Zoom call. I know you can. But there's just something about the freedom that exists. Like you couldn't spontaneously. I remember when we used to have open time. That would be really hard on a Zoom.
Yeah.
Unless you raise your hand and someone calls on you or what have you. But I'm not opposed to having these conversations. I don't want to be like the naysayer and like shoot it down. I'm open to having the conversations and exploring it. And I may kind of come to the conclusion that this is good, but it's not great. It's a second option. I can see the people in digital space that are saying, hey, I want to have this be for people who won't come to church. But I think I'll always feel like that's cool, but your goal should be to get them to an incarnational community. I think that will always be, to me, what the bridge ought to be. I don't mind them doing it, but I just think Like, I actually think for me, it's not so much digital church as much as like digital discussion groups, Zoom calls for non-believers led by apostolic and evangelistic leaders that would, like when you're watching like the evangelistic stuff on the pier or on the streets, you watch those videos on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and you see those come up, holding those in digital space, digital forums, what used to be university camp debates, those kinds of things that the church, it's like we're silent. It's like crickets chirping, man. We ought to be seeing more of that. Why we didn't go after that. So that's what's turning my wheels and cogs right now, is I'm starting to think, how can I start infiltrating this brave new world, this vast mission field in front of me, and start reaching that in future? So when this house gets done, it should be about 6 weeks, I will have more margin mentally. I have no mental real estate right now, but these are just seeds that are germinating, little ideas that are starting to smolder. But I really think, every planter, every leader needs to be asking, what are the things, the premium things that you need to have to meet face to face? And how can I be presenting that and sending that message out? That would be the message I would send.
I dig it.
Yeah. And I guess that's our time.
There you go.
Well, Peyton, wait, you're Pete. I'm Peyton.
There you go.
Let me ask you, what do you do when you are developing all of these premium services for your church, Pete, and you have no mental margin or real estate to do all your bookkeeping or your financial obligations between the IRS and the state that you're in, and also to your donors? Where do you go, Pete?
SimplifyMargin.com. Wait, nope, that's not it. SimplifyChurch.com. That's where I go.
Simplify Church? Simplify Church.
That's it.
All right. SimplifyChurch.com. It's that simple. Head on over there and tell them that Peyton and Pete Mitchell sent you.
And
I don't mean we're a couple. When I say it like that, I meant Peyton Jones and Pete Mitchell.
And ask them about their Fortnite circle where, could you join the squad and be a part of that? You need to ask them about that.
Is Josh Henry a player?
I don't know, but that'd be great if he was.
Wouldn't it, though? It says they take care of all your bookkeeping needs on most digital service, which might include a paid boost in Fortnite.
There you go.
I want to reach number 1. I need to hit the leaderboards.
I got to get the Vic.
Hey, go to Simplify. Wouldn't that be funny if this week a ton of our listeners actually wrote into Simplify Church and said, hey, I hear you can help me get number 1 in Fortnite. I was listening to Church Planner podcast.
I can't help anyone, but friend me on Fortnite.
What's your gamer tag?
I think it's Pete Mitch 4649 or it's 4946. It's one of those.
Not surprising. I'm on Xbox. If anyone wants to befriend me, it's New Breed Punk.
I've tried friending you and you wouldn't friend me back.
I have not been friended by you.
I tried.
New Breed Punk. Try it again and I'll go in. I've been in forever. I got to go in there and figure. Friend me again. Send me a fresh one, New Breed Punk, and I'll do it.
Cool.
All right. That's our gamer tag. If you guys want to hook up, we should do a Church Planner podcast Fortnite rendezvous.
Dude,
how cool
that
would
be
be?
Hot, wouldn't
Come
it?
on, let's do it. And we'll advertise it on Facebook and stuff. And we'll give out prizes.
We'll live stream the game on Facebook while we're podcasting.
By the way, those of you that help promote Church Plantology, your books have been sent, and I have been seeing them pop up that you received them. If you still want to get a free signed copy of Church Plantology, cha-ching, go ahead and start showing it off, spreading things. You can ask, take my posts, share them out. If I see you doing that, I might just send you a book.
Cool. All right, guys, we'll be back next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Church Planner Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Peyton Jones. We'd love to hear your comments on this episode of the Church Planner Podcast. Visit us online and let us know what you thought at churchplannerpodcast.com. If you subscribe to us via iTunes and have enjoyed the podcast, leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive in iTunes, the more iTunes will promote us to other church planners who would benefit from this show. This podcast is brought to you by the Church Planner Magazine, which is available in the iTunes newsstand or online via churchplannermagazine.com.